Member opposed will each control 5 minutes. The chair recognizes the gentlewoman from California.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, H.R. 3826 is about denial. It denies the realities of climate change. It denies EPA the ability to do its job. The Supreme Court has clearly stated that the EPA has the authority to regulate carbon emissions from power plants, and EPA has used that authority under the Clean Air Act to propose rules to improve the quality and safety of our air. These EPA, or Environmental Protection Act rules, are crucial to mitigating the harmful impacts of climate change, especially given the majority's refusal to take meaningful action to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. H.R. 3826 would nullify these proposed rules and restrict EPA's ability to write new ones. This not only does nothing to address climate change, it also creates tremendous uncertainty for the power sector. The bill also bizarrely restricts EPA to considering only pollution control technologies being used in the United States when setting new power plant standards. In other words, if a viable technology is being used abroad, EPA must pretend it doesn't exist. Under the Clean Air Act, EPA must determine the best system of emission reduction for new coal-fired power plants, and it must set standards based on this best technology. But this bill would block EPA from considering pollution controls used outside of the U.S., even if such systems are readily available and proven abroad. As the global leader in innovation and technology, it's absurd that we would bar the EPA from even looking at the best technologies available just because of where it's being used. My amendment would make a common-sense correction to this problem. If adopted, it would simply allow the EPA to consider all existing pollution control technologies regardless of where they are being used. For example, the EPA has proposed standards for new coal-fired power plants that would achieve greater carbon pollution reductions through the use of carbon capture and sequestration technology, commonly called CCS. If coal is going to be part of the clean energy future, CCS is precisely the kind of technology that we need to encourage. Understanding this, EPA and others have provided evidence to our committee that CCS is both feasible and available, and that coal-fired power plants with CCS are moving forward. Some of these projects are in the United States, but some of them are being pursued abroad. But without my amendment, these improvements or projects abroad would not be considered by this innovation. This is ridiculous and wrong. I want to be clear. This amendment will not make this a sensible or reasonable bill, and I'll be voting no, even if my amendment should be adopted. But my amendment would at least avoid the embarrassment of the United States Congress requiring a science-based agency to pretend that technologies operating in other countries simply don't exist. I know that some of my colleagues like to deny the science of climate change, but I hope there can be bipartisan agreement that we shouldn't deny science just because it is being used by someone else. Effective CCS technologies are already being installed and used in other countries, including our neighbor to the north. And EPA surely should be allowed to consider these technologies. My amendment would simply ensure that EPA can do its job and consider all available technologies when setting pollution control standards. So I ask my colleagues to support this simple and sensible change and support my amendment. Of my time.
Gentlewoman from California reserves the balance of her time. For what purpose does the gentleman from Kentucky seek recognition?
To claim time.